Do you even know the name of the show?
Do we have a name for a season thing?
Yeah, we do.
I never even paid attention to us having a name for a season thing.
That's what you call being prepared, Drew. Don't even know the name of our show.
Right? Hey, I was even talking about being prepared, and you're all, we don't prepare for nothing.
Yeah, we don't prepare for anything on the show. That's why it runs so smoothly all the time, like not even knowing the name of the show.
I don't know. There's so much pressure. I don't know what to... Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Tube. I am Drew Valentine, and with me is...
I don't think we have ladies or gentlemen that watch this show. I think it's just a bunch of weirdos.
And we're here to talk to you about Game of Thrones Season 1. How did you feel about it, Dave?
And, you know, I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. Of course, it is my all-time favorite movie. And I love, you know, like Merlin that's on television. And I love anything to do with kind of the swords and sorcery type of show.
Medieval stuff, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought this was more like Lord of the Rings, or like Merlin, more like sword and sorceries and that kind of stuff. But it really wasn't that kind of show.
It takes more of like a political turn, and doesn't really take the Tolkien drive of like, you know, there's fantasy stuff, like there are, like, you hear tales of dragons and giants, and even the beginning you hear and like you see different creatures, but that's only like the backdrop of the story, while like it's something that's doesn't really get shown. It's all about the politics of what's going on at the times, at least with Season 1.
And I gotta tell you, that was one of my favorite parts of this show, of Season 1, is them teasing you, because the things are there. I mean, the monsters and things that they talk about do exist there, but everybody kind of thinks they're legend, they don't really exist, but they've teased you enough and showed you enough stuff to know that, yeah, they do exist, but that really wasn't the focus on the show. I mean, it was more about, like you said, the politics and the kings and the kingdoms and taking over power and all that stuff. And all the monster stuff was kind of like the side of what the actual show is about.
And it's sort of like maybe something that looms in the distant future sort of deal.
Yeah, it's like you know it's going to happen, and you're just kind of waiting for it. And I got to tell you, the part with the wall is my favorite part of the whole show. I loved that whole mythology where somebody built this gigantic wall to protect everybody, kind of like the wall from King Kong, to protect all the monsters on the others from getting over the wall to the rest of the kingdoms.
And then there's even later on in the season, they end up capturing a woman that attacks someone who was from the other side of the wall, and she gives you even more hints of other things that exist beyond the wall that she's seen.
All the scenes with the wall are, the way they filmed them, I just love it, because everybody who is recruited to, you know, to protect this wall all have to wear black, and the way they film those scenes is they just take all the colors, like the whole entire sequence is like dry washed. It's like all black and grays and real dreary and
kind of a very faded kind of look to it.
And like all the other parts of the show have color, but as soon as you get to the wall, it's like all that color is gone. And I just love the way they film that.
But the thing is that the wall is just a small part of a machine that is Game of Thrones.
But the thing too about the wall is it is the small part of Game of Thrones. I mean, they don't even mention it much through the whole season. I mean, they keep going back to it, and it's only there for a few minutes. But if you think about it, it's probably the most important part of the entire season, and they don't really talk about it much, and I love that too.
Well, it's actually like the most important part to the people, for everyone just to live, for the fact that everyone's scurrying about, you know, these money things, and like, oh, this family over here, and this family over there, and blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, there's something that puts the entire land at risk, and no one just like almost denies the existence of things to come.
And this show is very, very, very story heavy. I mean, there is a lot of stuff going on in this show. I mean, there's this guy going to this kingdom, and this guy wanting to take this kingdom, and then you got the other people across the ocean, and they're doing their own thing, and they got 500 other people doing the other thing over here, and you got the stuff at the... I mean, there's a lot of things happening.
There's so many characters, and none of them are throwaway characters. Everyone has their, like, an important story to tell, and it feels so in-depth when they like keep going into each character, and no, there is no, like, there's like a single overlaying story, and then there's story over story over story, and it just keeps piling up, and none of it ever actually gets drowned out by another, making each one just as important as the next.
And I gotta say, the acting here is superb. Absolutely every actor in this show is just amazing, from the kids to the adults to even the freaking wolves in this show are awesome.
Oh, the wolves. I love the wolves in there. They're awesome as hell.
I mean, it's just the acting is superb. I mean, it's just as good as acting as I've ever seen, not even just in a movie, but on any television show. It's that good.
Now, is there a particular character in the season that you particularly enjoyed more than the others?
You know, of course, I'm going to have to say the dwarf character. I mean, what a great character. You know, there isn't a whole lot of acting jobs out there for them, but for somebody to get an acting job like that, the guy is an incredible actor. I'm so glad they gave somebody like him a chance to prove himself as in his acting ability. And what I love about his character is, yeah, he is, you know, a dwarf,
but he rises above that.
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, he's not like the typical stereotypical dwarf that runs around and, you know,
he's goofy and everything. He's a very articulate and well-read person.
And I'm so glad he won the Golden Globe Award.
He earned that shit.
He's just amazing. But I mean, I liked him, and I liked the other woman with the white hair. I forgot what her name was.
Oh, I know who you're talking. The chick with the dragon lineage.
In the books, they said she was dragonborn. So I never really. They never really said that in the show, but in the books, they referred to her as Dragonborn.
I'm not going to mention it. No. Skyrim! Ah!
So, Drew, what did you think of Game of Thrones? 1 through 5, the first complete season of this, what are you giving it?
1 through 5? That doesn't do it enough justice. That's crazy awesomeness, giant ass super gold star is what this deserves.
Well, since you're giving it that, I'm going to have to go with the big huge... And the thing about the show, too, is so great, is every episode ends, and you're sitting there and just go, like... No! No! It can't be over! You know, to tell you, I watched 7 hours of this. That's how much I enjoyed it. You know, because I wasn't planning on watching the whole entire freaking season just about in one day. But every time the episode ended, I was like, alright, start the next one. And then that one ended, I was like, alright, start the next one. And then that one ended, I was like, well, okay, start the next one. And I just couldn't get enough of it.
And like, oh, this is awesome! Explosion of blood!